Hey, happy Monday. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Got a lot to share with you today. It is Monday the 17th. I had a great weekend, man. I had a chance to go to Chapel Hill, which is where the University of North Carolina is located. And my nephew Drew was graduating from Chapel Hill. He's a senior there, or was. He's now graduated from UNC Chapel Hill. So it was a beautiful day to be in Chapel Hill. Awesome time of year where we get to celebrate lots of scholars who are graduating high school, graduating college, being promoted from Allen J. Prep or leaving us after 8th grade. So lots of good things going on. I got several things to share with you today. I got a leadership lesson for you. This is the last leadership lesson I'll have for you until the end of the school year. So I hope you can get something out of it. I'm certainly going to give it my all to help you grow as a leader over the next 10 minutes. Couple of announcements first. Only 3 days until EOG testing. So I encourage every scholar, be sure you are at school daily, focused, dialed in, putting forth all the effort you can to get everything possible from the lessons and the review sessions that are being offered. Only 3 days remain. Our staff's going to be working hard. We're going to be focused and helping you to be successful. Our leadership theme for this year has been all about finding the superhero within. And this is your opportunity to really put forth a final push, final phase of effort to see tremendous results from your superhero work this year. So be sure you're here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you're remote, be sure you're in classes each one of those 3 days. So things kind of shift on Thursday. We have testing that begins. So if you're a face-to-face scholar, you will be here on Thursday morning. You'll be taking your EOG reading test. Please be here by 9:15 if you're a car rider. If you are a remote scholar, you will not have live classes on Thursday. Instead, teachers will just post some work and activities and reviews for you to participate on or in on Canvas. And then it'll switch. So on Friday, if you're remote, you're going to come to school and take your reading test, and our face-to-face scholars are going to stay home, and you'll have some content on Canvas for Friday. So 2 days of testing, Thursday and Friday of this week. Be on the lookout for some updates regarding our 8th grade promotional event. I'm going to be sharing some information about that with parents this afternoon in the Monday afternoon memo and phone call. So 8th graders, be on the lookout for that. And we do have some birthdays this week. I want to celebrate a couple of scholars who have birthdays today. Happy birthday to James Ashley and Tiana Hilton. You guys have birthdays today. So happy birthday, guys. AJ McCoy, your birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday, buddy. Looks like Ivan Vargas and Julia Rodden have birthdays on the 20th. And Zaire McNary has a birthday on the 21st. Happy birthday to you. And on Sunday, Jayla Barbie, happy birthday. Happy birthday to all those scholars. All right, guys, let's see if we can dig into this lesson. Last time we talked, it was on the concept of excellence. You guys will remember that we were talking about how to pursue excellence. What excellence is, it's a noun. It's something that you can obtain. And we talked about the hard work and the focus and the passion that you put into something that will help you rise to that level of excellence. We used Spud Webb as one of the examples. The guy was only 5'7", but because of his work ethic and because of the way he surrounded himself with really talented coaches and players, he became excellent at the game of basketball and continues to do great things. Works for the D-League, which is in the NBA. But I just want to continue to encourage you to focus on becoming excellent. Not perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. But excellent means putting forth your absolute best, practicing intensely, listening to the coaches around you. A similar concept today sounds a little bit like a science term, but we use this term at least once a year. We talk about the impact of momentum on leaders and the impact that momentum can have on other people in the world of leadership. The science term of momentum is like this idea that an object that is moving has a certain amount of energy, right? Like if you take a bowling ball and you push it slightly down the lane, that bowling ball has a certain amount of momentum. It is moving, it is energy in motion. However, it can be increased like the faster you roll that ball, right? So here's an example. This ball like smashing into these pins, but you look at it in slow motion. That ball has momentum, and just because it hits that pin, it doesn't stop. See, it continues to move because all that energy is wrapped up in the fact that the ball is moving. It has motion, and because it has motion, it has energy. And so when you're thinking about it from a leadership standpoint, we as individuals can have energy and momentum as well, but you got to be moving, right? Like you can't just be stagnant. You can't just be somebody that really doesn't put forth a whole lot of effort and expect to gain momentum. It doesn't work that way. So instead, you can alter the momentum of any object, right? Like that bowling ball. If you want it to have more momentum, you can increase the speed or the force at which you roll it down the lane. So the greater the speed, the greater the force, the greater the momentum, okay? You can also make that bowling ball heavier. Now that is a 12-pound ball. Most of you probably bowl with a 12 to maybe even a 14, but the heavier the ball, the greater the mass, the greater the momentum of something. So you can gain momentum. But you know what? You can also decrease momentum of something. Like you've noticed before that those bowling lanes, those alleys as they call them, they're really, really slick because they're designed to decrease friction, right? They don't want that ball slowing down. But if you could imagine like going to bowl and you bowled it down like shag carpet, and shag carpet was the lane, that ball would quickly come to a stop and probably wouldn't even make it to the pin. So the momentum of something or the energy of something can be increased or it can be decreased. And we as leaders are exactly the same way. Like think about ways that you could positively increase your momentum right now as we get towards the end of the school year, right? You're putting forth some level of effort, but if you increase that level of effort, it's going to increase your momentum. If you increase like the passion and the focus that you're putting on something, it's going to increase the momentum that you're gaining as you work your way towards these end of grade tests. But there's also some things that can decrease your momentum, right? Like anything that is negative that takes you away from the focus of learning and getting stronger in your areas of reading and math and science. That would be like, you know, get kicked out of class. Coming to class not having your materials, not focusing, putting your head down, missing a day of school. Those things would negatively impact your momentum. So in all life activities, you have the possibility to have positive momentum and carry that not only for yourself, but for those around you, all right? So I got a really cool story that I love to tell. I do like the Yankees. I also like the Red Sox, which, you know, you can't really be like a Yankees and a Red Sox fan, but I love the history of the Yankees. And one of the greatest Yankee players of all time is a guy named Joe DiMaggio. He had the nickname Joltin Joe DiMaggio. He played well before my time. He played in the 1940s, but he's considered like an American hero, an icon. He's got a great story. I'm not going to tell you his whole story today, but I do want to tell you a little bit about his season in 1941. So he's playing for the Yankees. They are in New York City. This is a relatively I guess, recent picture, because you see Freedom Tower over here. We love to go and visit Freedom Tower when we're in New York City. And, of course, Statue of Liberty. We've taken scholars there as well. So in 1941, the Yankees are playing the White Sox. Okay, White Sox are based out of Chicago. And the White Sox smashed the Yankees. They beat them 13-1. Now, this was on May 15th. So it's almost, well, how many years ago is that? 70, 80? That's 80 years ago from this past weekend. The White Sox smashed the Yankees 13-1, and the Yankees fall to 4th place in the American League. Joe DiMaggio went 1 for 4. So he got to bat 4 times. He hit safely 1 time. So that puts him batting like a relatively low batting average compared to his overall batting average, batting .250 there. So in the next several weeks, I want you to see what happens, because although it was a very bad loss, you would think that decreased the momentum of Joe and his team. He finds this streak, and over the next 2 months, he gets on base by getting a hit safely 56 straight games. Now that is insane. Prior to him setting this record, the previous record was only 41. So he hits safely and gets on base 56 straight games, and he bats over 400 during this streak. He hits 15 homers during this streak. He hits 55 RBIs, which is how many times he hits and a run is batted in. It's an amazing streak that has never been accomplished again. Someday somebody might get there, but right now, man, if you could have like a 10-game hitting streak, that's awesome. He had 56 straight games. Man, you want to talk about momentum. You want to talk about positive energy. Joltin Joe was bringing it in the 1941 series. People say that DiMaggio's streak is the most extraordinary thing that's ever happened in American sports. That's a pretty big thing, right? To say that that is the most extraordinary thing that has ever happened. So Joe has this momentum. And let's think about the impact of that momentum. This is him being quoted. He said, "Baseball didn't really even get into my blood until I knocked off that hitting streak." He said, "Then getting a daily hit became more important to me than eating or drinking or sleeping." He was so incredibly focused on getting a hit every time he stepped to the plate. And this momentum began to grow, and he did it game after game after game. Not only that, but because Joe had this incredible momentum, It was feeding into the entire locker room, and everybody began to play better. It created significant momentum for the entire team. They went from 4th to 1st place in the American League. They went on to win the pennant, which is like the division championship, and then they went on to win the World Series. You talk about momentum. That is an awesome streak and an awesome story. So Joe's been highlighted for a lot of things, but he was on the Wheaties box. Look at the old school Wheaties box, man. Isn't that cool? Showed you how to swing like a home run king, how to bat like Joe DiMaggio, Joltin Joe. But the lesson here today is that momentum is something that you can obtain for yourself by focusing, putting forth effort. It's also something that impacts other people. So like the more momentum that you have, the more focus, the more energy, the more passion, those things we talk about as a leader, the more it is going to impact those around you. I love this quote. It comes from a mentor of mine. His name is John Maxwell. He says, momentum is really a leader's best friend, sometimes the only difference between winning and losing. I love that quote from John Maxwell. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. Before we say the creed and before we pledge to the American flag, just want to share some house points with you. It was a good week. It was a highly competitive week, and I think we are looking for another highly competitive week as we close out the school year here in the next couple of weeks. Looks like, once again, it's Eggemon House. How about that? But it was much closer this week. Everybody was right there in the ballpark. But just think about the power of momentum. Think about what you can do this week to increase your own personal momentum, and then also how your momentum will have a positive impact on those around you. And stay away from anything that would be a negative momentum killer. There's the creed. Take a look. The standard is excellence. That means that's the baseline, all right? We're not looking for average. The standard is excellence. This is where we want to be. Be focused, be disciplined. Have a fantastic week. I'm going to give you an opportunity to join me as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance today. Opportunity to honor our country and our soldiers and to unify us as a group. So I hope you'll join me as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a fantastic week, guys.